It's time to get divisional in week 10 as we look forward to Thursday night football. We've got the Raiders taking on the Broncos. The Broncos heavily favoured at the moment, but we'll see how divisional rivals go, Tom. It's going to be hopefully a better game than it looks on paper.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I mean, we can hope for anything in the world, can't we? But I think anything other than a blowout here would be a major shock. The Raiders have been shocking. The Broncos have been great, in my opinion. The statistics back it up a little bit. I think this is going to be very one-sided, but look, sometimes we have ultra-close games like the Bears and Bengals on the Sunday just gone, and sometimes we have blowouts. That's the whole nature of the NFL.
Yeah, we'll see how the points actually add up because the over-under is 41.5 at the moment. That is implying the Broncos are going to score the vast majority of those, but the Raiders, they just struggle to be an offense at the moment.
Mate, they just struggle to be a football team. Look, I watched both the Broncos game this weekend and then the Raiders against the Jags. The Raiders v Jags was abysmal. Like, it was shocking. It was one of the worst NFL games I've watched in a long time. Actually, I do remember the Jags played in a Thursday night football game in about 2022 that finished 10-9 or something like that. That's the worst NFL game I've ever watched. The one on Sunday between the Raiders and the Jags is up there. Both the offenses were terrible until the fourth quarter. The play calling on both sides was abysmal as well. They just kept running the ball, even though the running part of the offense for both teams was not working. Genty was getting nothing, and neither was ETN until the fourth quarter. They just need to throw the ball down the field more often. But then we saw Geno Smith try to do that late in the game, and God, he just can't do it anymore. So, look, I don't believe in the Raiders at all. I think at the start of the year when we did our divisional previews, we both were very low on Las Vegas this season. Having watched them several times, I'm even lower now.
Yeah, they have not been good. Their defense has shone at times, and Trey Tucker has shone at times, but the rest of it has been rather lacking, albeit Brock Bowers is now healthy. So
Sure.
he is at least a shining light. And Ashton Genty is also beginning to look like the guy that we hope that he might well be as a rookie. But like I say, the Broncos -9 on the spread. 41.5 is the over-under, and the Broncos 1-5 in the outright market. We've got four selections a piece. Tom, I'll let you go first. You're Broncos heavy this week.
Yeah, Broncos heavy. Let's start with our outcome. Let's say our game bets rather than player props. I'll start with mine, and mine is one of the things you just mentioned there. Broncos -9. That is my first play. Happy to take the 10-11 on the point spread, standard line. Not going to take any alternative spread here. Just -9 for the Broncos. Look, I think this game could easily be something like 30-14. 30-16, something similar to that. I really think the Broncos are just way better than the Raiders. I'd actually be very surprised if the Raiders scored more than 16 points in this matchup, purely because they're actually averaging 16 and a half points generally this season. But also, Geno Smith, I don't trust him. Genty, for all that he is a good player, the O-line is not good enough for him to actually go on and make 100 yards a game. So everything relies upon Brock Bowers. If Jacoby Myers gets traded, then he might not even play in this game. I don't see the Raiders scoring more than 14-16 points. Meanwhile, the Broncos should be able to score quite a few on this Raiders team. I know the offense hasn't been firing, but again, I think that is very much due to the play calling rather than the players. I think if they just start to throw the ball down the field rather than lateral plays, the Broncos will have even more success. Broncos D is the best in the game right now. So give me Broncos -9. I think they'll probably win this by 14 plus.
Yeah, speaking of someone who owns Jacoby Myers in the Turf and Touchdowns Listener League in fantasy football, I would very much like him to get traded. But
Yeah.
it's going okay for the Turf and Touchdowns Listener League for Luke Elder. How did you get on last week, Tom?
Yeah, I suffered a shock defeat to yourself.
When you say shock, you mean not shocking at all.
It was very much a shock in my opinion because I have got the best team. But yeah, you were much better than me this week.
You keep saying this, but you're like mid-table.
I think I'm third, and points four in my favour. Right, I might not be third anymore. I definitely was third going into Sunday.
Wait, I'm checking this. You're fourth.
Okay, fourth.
Scott Crowley's taken over.
Did you? One quick mention. Did you see? I think it was Scott's game this week. Was it Scott v Paul Powley? Was that the matchup? There was like
Uh,
0 point something points in the total outcome there. Brutal. For
that's
Paul.
ridiculous because Scott last week beat me, and I was second highest scorer, and he beat me by 2.
Man's getting lucky at the moment.
That's the Chiefs from last year, and it comes up to bite you in the backside, Scott. So start winning by a bit further than that. But well done, Scott, once again. He's now 6-3. Alex and myself leading at 7-2. My game outcome bet is kind of a left field one, and a market that I don't think many people, including myself, would often look at. I'm going for total game touchdowns over 4.5. That's at even money at the moment. Now, plenty of reasoning behind this. The Broncos still likely won't have Patrick Surtain. In the Monday practice, it doesn't actually exist, but you have to declare whether a player would have practiced or not. Patrick Surtain wasn't practicing. That's a large part for the Broncos defense, albeit they didn't have Surtain against the Texans either. Against the Cowboys, the Broncos led up 24 points. Against the Giants, they led up 32, and they trailed for the vast majority of that game. The defense has not been the sparkling Broncos defense that we would usually expect, or we would expect throughout the course of the season. So they can allow touchdowns. I'm not going to say that the Raiders are going to score like 3 or 4. I think the Raiders could get 2. That's their upside. If they get 1, that's fine. The Broncos are also a pig-ignorant team. There's no problem, regards to Sean Payton, at just running up the score. They will keep on scoring. Again, against the Cowboys, they scored 44. They came from behind to score 33 against the Giants. And a divisional game as well. I think these guys will just want to keep on scoring. They won't hold back at all. Maybe give RJ Harvey some carries. I think we could easily have 5 or more touchdowns in this contest, which is exactly what we're aiming for. I'm hoping, Tom, that maybe it's Broncos 4 touchdowns, Raiders 1, but I'll take it however way we get there.
I'll tell you what, I like the logic there. I don't necessarily love the bet. I feel like it's quite risky because these two teams, when it comes into the red zone, they're not great. The decision making and the play calling has not been fantastic. I do think Denver will score at least 3 to 4 touchdowns. And if they do score 4 touchdowns, then, as you say, you just need 1 from the Raiders. That being said, have you seen the score lines when the Raiders have been on the road this year? They went on the road to the Patriots in week 1. Now, I'm just going to forget that because that just was not the Patriots we've seen in any other game. It was a very one-off scoreline. 3 subsequent road games, they conceded 41 to the Commanders, scored 24 somehow. The Colts was 40-6, and then the Chiefs was 31-0. Look, if the Raiders scored 0 here, it wouldn't be a surprise to me. I know that's probably outlandish. They probably will score points, but I don't know. They've just been terrible on the road. They haven't scored a touchdown in the last 2 road games. Brock Bowers is back. And I think all of your bet here relies on Brock Bowers getting into the end zone.
Yeah, 100%. Or maybe Ashton Genty catching one and breaking it for 50 yards or whatever and taking it to the house. Just to say in opposition of your stance against my pick, what was the score that you said you thought this game could be at the start of the podcast?
Yeah, I know. I said 30-14, which is very, it would definitely work for your bet. I was just kind of trying to say a 16-point margin in some kind of NFL scoreline.
Yeah, good job. Well done. Hopefully we go over 4.5 though, and hopefully, Brock Bowers, anyone to be honest, will be a part of that. We just want the Raiders. If they could score 2, that would be magnificent, and it would take the pressure off of Bo Nix, who.
Don't say it.
I've got the list.
No,
I've got the list.
Right. I'm going to give some context while you get the list here. Right, Luke and I during Sunday's NFL. We had a little bit of a debate where I said that Bo Nix is a top 10 QB. Now, I was just trying to irk him a little bit. I think he's top 10 to top 15. Luke is adamant he's not top 15 QB. So go on, give me a list of the better quarterbacks.
Bo Nix is just about top 20. I'll give you just about top 20. Josh Allen. Sorry. Let's set this up. These are the quarterbacks who are better in the NFL than Bo Nix.
Okay.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Yep. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, even with one arm, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Dak Prescott, Matt Stafford, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold. Yes, he is.
No.
Not even close.
No, he's in a better offense. He's in a better offense.
No, not even close. Not even close. He was better when he was in Carolina. Joe Flacco at the moment and sure. CJ Stroud. As an actual quarterback, CJ Stroud is better. He's just in an absolutely terrible team behind an awful O-line.
I don't agree with Darnold. Don't agree with Stroud. Flacco at the moment, sure, but long term, no. And there was one other I didn't necessarily agree with, but I can't remember who. I genuinely think he's a top 10 to top 15 QB. Hopefully he shows that in the back end of this season.
I think that Bo Nix makes bonehead decisions, is terrified of standing in the pocket, and isn't as good of a pocket passer outside of the pocket as he thinks he is. He was very good last year, but now we've had, not going to call it the sophomore slump, but people have got tape on Bo Nix. They know exactly what he's going to do. They know how to defend him. And suddenly it's getting a little bit tougher. This year he's had one game where he's gone over 280 passing yards. In the last few weeks to do that, I think it was 2 weeks ago, he threw the ball 50 times. It's been absolutely crazy. His accuracy has been poor, but I don't think they'll even need him to be good in this game, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to contradict myself by saying this because I've got a bet that is well, it's not anti-Bo Nix, but it's just a bet that isn't an over when it comes to a Bo Nix player prop. But I genuinely do think that Bo Nix is none of what you said there. We agree very much in the NFL, like on quite a lot of things, but in this instance, we're not agreeing. I do think it's play calling that he's not succeeding in terms of completion rate. And at the moment, we've got a lot of young receivers out there for him. Marvin Mims is difficult because he just runs go and post routes. So the misses for Marvin Mims are down the field and they are long 40 to 50 yard throws. And he has missed quite a few of them, but he's missed them by that far. Troy Franklin's been good, but now they've started to get him more involved in like the middle of the field rather than, again, being a deep threat. And Cortland Sutton, I mean, he just runs go routes as well. Everything you throw to Cortland Sutton is back shoulder. He's very much Devontae Adams. So I do think it's a little bit misleading for the stats. However, as I say, this player prop that I'm going to put up for Thursday Night Football isn't necessarily a pro Bo Nix thing. It's under 21.5 passing completions at 10 to 11. Again, I feel like we're going a little bit left field with some of these markets, but the reason I say this is just purely because I think the Broncos are going to romp. And if the Broncos romp, Bo Nix doesn't need to throw the ball much. Equally, in the second half of this matchup, they're probably going to run the ball 20 times. J.K. Dobbins is going to get a lot of work. I think R.J. Harvey's actually going to get work in the running game as well. In the last couple of weeks, he's been great in the receiving game. But surely they've got to get him going on the ground. So I just think Bo Nix won't have that much to do in the passing game. If he throws it for 26 to 30 times in this game, the likelihood is he'll get under 21 passing completions. So, I'll take the under here. If he goes over, I'll just say, well, Bo Nix is that quality QB that I'm talking about. If he goes under, then I'll just say that's the game script that we anticipated.
If he goes over, it's because Bo Nix has allowed the Raiders to keep up with them, and he's been an awful quarterback in the game. But if you're with this bet, you're hoping that J.K. Dobbins can house one early on, or just anyone can get a big touchdown early on, put the Raiders on the back foot, and then Sean Payton can try and run the game out. But I don't know. I don't know if the Broncos do that. I think, like I say, they're pig ignorant. They want to score as many points as possible and annoy as many people along the way. Moving on to my final selection of the game. This will be Brock Bowers, who is the offense, effectively, for the Las Vegas Raiders. Over 5.5 receptions. That is at 5 to 6. Bowers, for the first time in a long time, he was healthy last week. You put him up as your player of the day, and he absolutely battered his line, and he got 3 touchdowns as well, including 1 in overtime. He hadn't played since week 4. He had week 5, 6, and 7 on the sidelines. Week 8 was a bye. Brock Bowers came back healthy. My worry at the start of the year was that Pete Carroll, who's never really been a tight end man, he might not use Brock Bowers as much as he can. In weeks 5, 6, and 7, he's realised the rest of this team sucks. We can't throw to these guys whatsoever. We need Brock Bowers. He threw to him 13 times, 12 catches for 127 and 3 touchdowns. They even used him in the rushing game once as well for 6 yards. Surely he goes over 5.5 receptions in this game. And it's not as if the Broncos are some sort of elite team at shutting down tight ends. That doesn't necessarily happen. Last week, Dalton Schultz was leading receiver for the Texans in what was a fairly low-scoring game. Yes, they managed to get Jake Ferguson out of the game against the Cowboys, but Luke Schoonmaker still stepped up and had a couple of catches in what was a pretty dismal game for the Cowboys, and they just peppered Lamb and Pickens with targets. And against the Giants 3 weeks ago now, the Giants managed to get Daniel Bellinger and also Theo Johnson into the end zone. 3 catches apiece. They went for 88 and also 66 yards. I think the tight end position is something you can use against the Broncos. Saying that, it is very different when your focal point of the offense is Brock Bowers. They will try and take him out of the game, but honestly, Tom, I'm just not sure Brock Bowers is the kind of guy you can just remove from a game like that. So over 5.5 receptions, I will take.
Yeah, I half like this one. I much prefer the fact you've gone for receptions rather than receiving yards, purely because this Broncos front 7 is electric. And yes, they don't have Pat Surtain on the back end, but Brock Bowers isn't going to be lining up out wide, is he? He'll be in the slot. So Satan would never be on him anyway. I do think that he's going to be used quite a lot in short yardage situations just because he has electric hands. He basically never drops the ball. Also, one quick word on Brock Bowers. I know you were working on Sunday, but did you see the acceleration leading to his first touchdown? He caught the ball on a slant route, and then it was like Hollywood Brown. It was mental.
Yeah, it's like a Rondé Gadsden. That's what
Yeah,
it's like.
yeah, nice. You
um,
remembered him this week.
yeah, exactly. It's just it's nice to see a team utilizing their best player over and over again. And hopefully, again, that will be the case once again this week. Just before we go through our selections for the end of this podcast, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Do whatever you have to. If you're new here, a very warm welcome to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. We also have a membership tier as well. We were 2 from 3 on Monday Night Football on our members video with Trey McBride finding the end zone and Marvin Harrison going over his line in literally the second quarter for Arizona against Dallas. We'll be back with another Monday Night Football preview later on this week. Membership details are below. Tom, give us your 2 picks.
Yeah, I want Broncos -9 here at 10-11 and Bo Nix under 21.5 passing completions, not passing attempts, passing completions at 10-11, I think it is.
Correct, yes. Both yours are 10-11. I will take over 4.5 total game touchdowns. Don't care who scores them, don't care what team scores them. As long as they go in, I'm pretty happy with that. That's even money. That's my first pick of the game. And Brock Bowers over 5.5 receptions. That is at 5-6. Hopefully he can maybe find the end zone for one of those touchdowns as well. But Brock Bowers over 5.5 receptions, over 4.5 total game touchdowns. That is us done for the day. Quieter week on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast because there's not as much going on and we can actually relax a little bit and breathe. But we'll be back for our Sunday video later on in the week, Tom, where I will be putting up many losers and a Play of the Day winner again.
Mate, that record, where is it? It's somewhere up here. That record needs to improve. Not the Play of the Day one. You have been excellent at Plays of the Day this year. 8 from 9. I can't fault you at all. But the record, people aren't happy about that. I've got mine back to 500 now. We're level, so I'm on the upward curve. But come on, you got to match us.
All I'm looking at is that I'm 6 behind to bring it back to 500.
Exactly. 6 winners on Sunday?
Well, I'll have 2 in this one, so 4.
Okay, 4 winners, yeah.
I need 4, basically. But we'll see how we go. Right, that's us done. Guys, we will see you for our Sunday video. That will be released on Thursday, most likely. Until we next get to speak to you guys. Tom, say goodbye to the people. Bo Nix sucks.
No way. Enjoy Thursday Night Football, guys. Bo Nix is great.